Hello to all of our BPTV friends, YouTube friends, Facebook friends, and potential new friends of our guest. I'm Alan Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm doing my 25th Maria's Ideas Teaches Us to Paint.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new to our show, we're excited to have you. So we're here on the south side slopes of Pittsburgh, PA at Johno's Art Studio. If you're ever in the area, stop by and say hi. And we are very excited. It took 25 episodes to finally get our special guest to join us. He's a busy guy. Sometimes I think there's like 7 of them because he does so much. And I'm sure a lot of you will know him, our good friend, Andy Amrhein.
Good morning, everybody. It's a snowy day in Pittsburgh, so what better opportunity to paint a snowman and in between two of my bestest friends. I am very, very, very excited to finally be here to do this. I know how to use hammers.
Yeah?
Do you use this like a hammer?
You can.
I don't know how to paint, but
I
I'm very excited to
I
learn how
have
to
to
paint.
thank you in person.
Wow.
Because we're able to do the show because of the contraption you have
Yes.
created
Yes.
for us to have the over-the-head camera.
That's right.
It's been a focus point of our show, so thank you, sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
He's the hardware guy. He can do anything.
Except paint.
Except paint. Well, you're going to paint today. You're going to paint today. Okay, so we are going to get started. We are painting, so to be politically correct, Snow Pal.
Snow Pal.
Just so you know.
Okay.
So we are painting Snow Pal today, and it's called A Visitor in the Snow. I have a little cardinal there. And we are using, let me set this here, we are using red, blue, black, yellow, orange, and white. Okay? All right, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So
I'm excited with Andy here.
Okay. So we're using acrylics as well, so we have our water and everything. So we're going to pick up the 1-inch flat brush. We usually wet the brush, kind of get the bristles together, take the extra water off on the paper towel.
You can dab a little.
Now you can mix directly on the canvas, which I do a lot of times, but I'll show you here too, just to achieve the color that we want first. The background of the painting, it's not so much pink, but more peachy tone. I wanted it to be a warm color.
Okay.
If we mix red with white, you get pink. It's fine if you wanted it pinker, but we're going to mix the orange with the white since we have orange on our palette. So when you're mixing a color with white and you want it to be a soft, light color, always start with the white first and introduce the color. Otherwise, you'll have a soup pot of paint by the time you're done trying to get the right color if you mix if the color's too bold. So we're going to take a generous amount of white and put that on our plate because we'll use a lot of that, and we can always add more. And then with the corner of my brush, I'll just go into the edge of my little pot here instead of going right down in the middle and contaminating all that. Just grab some orange like this and put it beside the white. Okay, and now when you mix the two, mix it in another spot so you have a third spot. So you're going to go like this. You're going to flip the brush, kind of like that. You don't want to necessarily smush it around in a circle like Alan likes to do, but it's his thing, so it's okay.
I didn't know.
Alan thinks he's stirring cookie batter over there,
right?
But it's okay. There's no wrong here. Okay, so
she lets me break the rules.
Exactly.
So this should be.
So that's pretty intense. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say. Yeah, I would say maybe even start at a new spot and just take some white. You can use it that dark. The only reason we want it lighter is so that
too light, Maria?
No, that's good.
Okay.
If it's too dark, the snowman is snowwoman is not going to be much of a contrast. Okay. So I would say just more white with it. Yeah, you can even do that, and then just grab some white, and then go to a clean spot on the plate, and just mix that up on your brush a little bit.
This?
Yeah, just right there. There's enough on your brush already. Oh. There you go. See, it's already in there.
Okay.
Perfect. And the acrylics dry a little bit darker. So if you like that color, it's going to be a little bit darker than that anyway. So now we're going to load our brush we're coming up to the top, and we're just going to cover the canvas. Now, if it's a little thicker, heavier, you can add a touch of water. I feel like mine needs a little bit more color. Now you can see I've grabbed a little bit more. You can mix it also, like I said, you can mix it on the canvas too. And then just pull it all the way down and go around the snowman. I'm going to say snowman because mine is a little guy.
We're old school, so.
Yeah. And when you get to, say, the bird or around the snowman, you can use the corner of the brush just like this. You can go over the lines if you want to. You can cover those up. I should say too, we have the drawing first on the canvas. So on my YouTube channel, I have a 10 to 12 minute tutorial for every episode. So you can watch the show on BPTV's channel, on their YouTube, and then on my YouTube, but the tutorials are only on mine, which is Maria's Ideas Art. So if you need help drawing each design, you can watch that. There are a couple of different ways to do that. You don't have to be experienced drawing to do this. But we transferred the design with graphite paper. I drew it first and then transferred it on each one so we all have the same design.
And thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it just speeds it up a little. Certainly I could teach you to draw it first, but then it'd have to be a 2-hour show, so we're not going to do that. So anyway, so we're just kind of coming in. If you need to, Andy and Alan, you can grab a smaller brush if you feel more comfortable when you're coming around the other, areas around the snowman, but that looks good.
Maria, you've actually helped me to be able to use the bigger brush. Look, I'm going around the bird.
Sometimes using a bigger brush is actually easier. It's just how you hold the brush, right? Like a hammer. You don't hold the hammer same way depending on what you're using, and it's the way you hold it too, right?
Yep.
So,
Position and everything.
So if you don't know Andy, you're probably living under a rock because Andy, especially if you live in Bethel, Evey Hardware's been there how many years?
We're starting our 76th year.
76 years. I know you haven't been there that long, but
I've
you've been
been-
there
I'm
He's
starting-
only 35.
Now
Yeah.
I'm starting my 51st year.
55 years,
Wow,
Evey Hardware.
congrats.
And I'll tell you, everybody we talk to, of course, they might not know you personally, but they go there, they love it. You're like the Hallmark hardware, like in the Hallmark channels where they all go to
Yeah.
the local store and everybody knows each other and you get all the help and they're there for everybody. That's you. That's Andy.
Andy, I have
And-
a best friend that lives in Sarver, PA.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I told him, I do shows with Andy. He goes, Andy, I love him.
Yeah.
I just told him I'm doing a painting show. He goes, what, he paints?
Well, we had our the guy that does our tree trimming on our property. He was in here on the holidays, and he said something about Bethel or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, that hardware store. That's the only place I rent my equipment." He said because they're the only ones that everything's always maintained. It always works. And he's out in like Jefferson somewhere, I think. But so he even knew about you. But anyway, stop by
We
Andy's
aim
place.
to please.
But also, Andy won't, he won't brag about himself, but he's very involved with community. Community guy, does so much for the community, many communities. So we're proud to say Andy's a friend of ours. So
Me too.
that looks great. And the background doesn't have to be all one color either. It could be,
No,
it's sky, right?
Yeah,
So,
mine's quite a few different shades.
but I like that. That looks good. And then if it starts to drag, just add a little bit of water, not too much. And that looks great.
Andy, you've done great, buddy.
Yeah. So now what we're
For
going
not being
to do.
a painter.
Yeah. So I'm going to rinse that brush. So you'll catch up, and I'm just going to. Actually, you're painting pretty quick too. Wow, Alan, you're pretty fast today.
Yeah, well, you inspired me
Yeah.
to use the big brush. See
Yeah.
what I've learned in 24 shows.
Sure. So next we are taking, I think just down under the bird a little bit, Andy. That's it. Because
Yeah,
that goes
I'm
down
done
to this.
too.
It's like the hint of a background, mountains or trees or whatever.
My key to painting is listen to Maria.
Okay, so now what we're doing is you can rinse that brush, either leave it in the water or take it. I usually take them out. If they sit in the water too long, they can bend, and that's not a good thing. And then you can just add a little bit of. That's okay. I would say add a little bit of water, tiny bit of water, and it'll push that paint around for you. See that?
There you go.
Her tips are great.
Yeah.
I think she's been painting for a while.
Yeah.
I think since she was out of the womb.
Yeah, I was. I was. Pretty
So
much.
You want this one rinsed
Yep,
out?
I just rinse it and you can lay it there, and then we're going to take our 1/2 inch flat brush, And what we're doing is so when we're painting, you don't always have to have a light source, depending on what type of painting you're doing, if it's an abstract or still life or whatever. The light source, and in our case, it's something that we want to represent. Maybe there's a little bit of wind, right? So
Ooh.
our light source, can you tell where our light source is? See, look on the finished picture. Do you know where our light source is?
Just up here in the corner,
Okay,
right
so
corner?
yep.
Left
So
corner.
yes.
Left.
Down.
So our light
left
source,
on
our
that.
sun is here, so you
okay.
can see the warmth and the reflection on our little figure there too. So what we're doing is we're going to wet our brush and we're going into the yellow. And let's just use it just the straight yellow. Whoops. See that little drip? I'm going to leave it there because that'll turn into something good. And then I'm going to mix just a little bit of white. If your white might be a little thicker, just add some more water. So I'm loading my brush pretty good, and I'm coming up here, and I'm going like this. I'm just pushing my brush down and moving my hand in a circle, and then I'll just come out like this. Just kind of like some spirals, so it's the sun and some of the rays coming off of it. That looks good. And then as you come out, just come out like a spiral, and then just go wider and wider and kind of leave a little gap in between there. And if you want to make it a little more yellow, you can too. But this is to represent the sun, and we'll keep that in mind as we paint where our shadows are and where our lights are. That looks good. And you can bring it out a little more. You could do like lightly if you want to, just to get some of that sunshine. Yeah, now Alan, as it comes out, lighten and then just leave some gaps in between. Perfect.
Okay.
That looks good.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So now we are going to rinse our brush.
Okay.
Same brush, and we're going to work on the background. So this area here, we still want it to be distant. There's no detail in it. And we want it to be more muted in color because things in the distance usually are. So this blue, as you can see, is pretty intense. So what we're going to do is we're going to take white first.
White.
Put that on our palette. We're going to take a little bit of blue, not too much because it's strong. We're going to put it beside it. And then we're going to mix them. What I do is I put it beside, and then without even grabbing more, I'll just go right into the white. And you can see, and I feel like, okay, I'll pull, and then pull it more in as you need it. Now, this is going to dry a little bit darker. So I'm going to add a little bit more white. Whatever color, if you like this color, add a little white because it's not going to stay that color. You understand?
Okay.
And then that looks like you already have. So I'm going to grab some of this orange that's laying on my plate, and I'm going to mix that in because what that's going to do is just going to gray it down a little. You can see how it's more like a slate color.
Okay.
I don't want it to be real bright blue or sky blue.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just a tiny bit of orange. See, yeah, that looks good, Alan.
Thank you.
Then maybe a little water just so it moves around. You can get it off the plate. That looks good. So now what you want to do, I would say your brush needs, there's a lot of paint in there. I would say just rinse it just to give you want that nice chiseled edge, okay? So usually you want that, if too much paint builds up in the bristles, it's not going to give you the clean line that you want. All right, so now we're taking our paint, all right, and we're going to come up and we're just going to just press the brush down, let the bristles spread out, and just move your hand and pretend like you just drank a bunch of caffeine or something. You want that jaggy line because it's maybe trees or shrubs or something in the distance, and then just fill that in. And then if it ends up being a little bit darker or lighter in some areas, that's okay too. And then do the same on the other side. But you want that little jagged edge. To me, I feel like it's maybe distant trees,
Thanks for teaching me a new technique here.
Yeah.
The
And
jagged edge.
Yeah, you just you can pounce the brush like this. You could do something like that, or you can just move your hand, just kind of wiggle it, and then go around. You can paint right over his little arm because I can still see it through. You don't have to worry about going around. You can see I just painted right over his little stick arm. Now that yellow that I accidentally dripped on my canvas, I'm leaving it in there. So now I'm just going to mix it. See that? I think that looks pretty cool in there. Why not, right? Happy accidents. Right?
I know what those are.
You do. So what do you have coming up, Andy? Anything? You have a lot of irons in the fire all the time, so
Tell us one.
one, yeah. Tell us one.
Tell us one. Probably my next biggest event is we have our Bourbon, Beans, and Vino fundraiser for the Fantastic Four charities coming up.
February
nice.
1st.
And that's on February 1st. That's the Saturday that's
Oh, that's not that far away.
in between the
Playoffs and Super Bowl.
playoff and Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
So it's the Saturday that no one has anything to do.
Cool.
So
Well, if
we'll
you
be
need
at
some
the-
artwork for prizes, let me know. We'll give you something, and I can talk our stage boy, Johno, maybe into donating
Whoa,
something.
shout out to stage boy
I have
Johno.
I have a connection with him.
Yeah, we're. It's just a fun day of from 4 to 7 and raise
Sounds
money
nice.
for the Fantastic Four charities.
Yeah,
Now, is that going to be too great?
that's perfect. There's no right or wrong. It's
Okay.
just it's your
It's
painting,
just what
and
it is.
I like it. We just didn't want it to be the intense blue that it is in the palette. Which these make really nice paint pots, by the way. These are from pot stickers I get at Costco.
Oh,
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, they're good size, and I usually use 6 colors, so you don't have to go out and buy fancy containers for your paints. Just use egg cartons are good, and just things like that. Yeah, that's good.
Just be creative
Yeah.
like Maria.
Yeah, and then you can just paint right over that stick arm. If you'll probably see through the paint, and you could add a little bit of water too. Again, just to get it. Yeah, just to move it. See how it'll just move for you better. And then let's see. While we could do this later too, but we'll do it now. While we have this color on our brush, I'm just going to mark just some indications of where that snow, I'm just laying my brush down and pulling it, the snow around the shovel and at the bottom, kind of more shadow. And we're not going to put too much of that. We'll add some white as well, add some shadows in there. So I did the shovel. I wanted the shovel because you love snow.
I love snow.
You love when it snows. You sell a lot of salt, right? How much salt do you think you sold this year?
Well,
It's
in the
early.
I know you
In the
know.
last 8 days, we've sold over 6,000 bags.
Oh my goodness. And that's just from you. Could you imagine,
Yes.
how much salt's
do a
been
lot.
used? We'll be getting a lot of snow lately. And the
I'm
shovel,
glad winter's back.
More's
oh, yeah.
coming,
I
Andy.
like it. Yeah. And the shovel's orange because Bethel Park colors are black
I
and
like
orange,
that.
right?
I like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to save this, and I'll have a booth at our art festival on
Yeah.
July 26th.
July 26th.
Wow.
That
There we
was great.
go.
First art festival you guys ever had. It was so well organized. It was
I have
phenomenal.
a great team.
It was.
Oh,
you
thank
guys
you.
thought of things that I've never seen done at shows,
Yeah.
and I've been around art shows my whole life. So
Wow.
very
what a
good.
compliment.
Very nice. Yes. So look forward to that. Okay, that looks great. So now we are going to. Let's see. We're going to rinse that brush.
Okay.
And now we're going to take a small round brush or liner brush. All right. Now what we want to do, we don't want to spend too much time on this, but we want to just, and again, these lines don't have to be perfect. See, we're just going to lightly kind of sketch the outline. I want this to sort of have that cartoony vibe.
Okay.
I want to see the little black edges around the snowman. If you don't want that, it's going to make a pop against the background, then you don't have to, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm taking some black. Make sure Alan gets up there.
I'll catch
And then,
up.
so whenever you're using a brush like this, I feel like, yeah, that's okay. The other one I think is a little longer. Do you want to grab the other little round one?
This one?
Yeah, use that one instead.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just leave that in the water. Now, when you're using a round brush like this and you're loading it, see how I'm twirling
Okay.
that in my
Yep.
fingers? Because it keeps those bristles straight.
Straight in the point.
And you don't want them to fan out. And you also want to add some water and want it to be a little bit more of an inky consistency.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, and then you twirl it, get that point, and then you're just going to quickly come in like this, and you're just going to, with the tip of the brush, see how I'm not even worrying about it being like a perfect line. I'm just kind of sketching, because if it's thinner and heavier in some areas, it just gives it more of a unique look, and also some of this will get covered up. So if it gets a little bit too wide in some areas, it's not a big deal because we are going to cover it on the, as we paint, you know, the white areas and everything. But do keep in mind where there might be some little highlights, and then you can even leave that area lighter. So you can see right here, I just left a little bit, a hint that, okay, that's going to be a highlight there. We have the little band of color on the hat. And then the brim of the hat, this would be solid here. This would be in shadow on this side because the light is on this side, right?
Makes sense.
And it's underneath. And then as it dries, like mine's starting to dry and I load again, you might have to add a little more water, maybe grab a little bit more paint, and just come down and just don't do the nose. Just do the body. And you could see how it's just lay the tip down and move your hand, you know. And again, if it's a little irregular looking, it just adds to the uniqueness of it. And you know, they're never perfect, right?
I'm never perfect.
No. And then I could, if it drags too much like that, you just need more paint on the brush. See how you can see a lot of the canvas through here? Mm-hmm. You just need a little bit more paint or make it a little wetter.
I noticed that with mine. I was going too light. So.
Yeah, I feel like you probably more water would be better too, because then it just flows. And then we're not going to do the coal buttons. We're not doing just the outline, okay?
Okay.
Because if we do the eyes, the carrot, the buttons, and we paint the white, it might grab that and smudge it into, you know.
I like doing eyes though.
Yeah. So Johno, the stage boy, just said, we're 20 minutes in already, so we're halfway there. Okay?
Wow.
So I'm going to keep painting, but you guys can take your time, okay?
I don't mind catching up. I'm used to it.
So then again, I'm just doing the same thing with the scarf. Our wind is coming from the left side or the west. Around here, it usually comes from the west, I think, right? Mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Sometimes, though, when that rain or storm comes from the other way, oh, it's usually bad. Okay, so that's there. And then outline a little bit of the shovel. And then since I have this brush and the little sticks are black, I can do those little arms. Okay. But no details, just the outline. None of the eyes or any of that yet. And then probably a little bit wider here. And we could touch everything too. We just want to get this all blocked in, outlined and blocked in. Okay, so I'm rinsing my brush and I'm going to put that aside.
This is fun.
Yeah, that looks great. And then I would say rinse the brush to get a lot of the extra paint out of it. If it's in the belly of the brush, too much paint, you won't get a nice little point. I'm going to do the same thing with the bird, just very lightly. You could see if we get that nice little chiseled tip by rolling it on you get that little tiny point, then you can go like this and just use that tip and just do a little tiny line, just outline that cardinal. And they have a mask, they have the black mask. This is a male cardinal. If you want to do the female cardinal, they're lighter, they're more like a brown with a little red. Okay, so there's our cardinal. And that's it. And then I'm going to clean the brush. And I'm going to grab our 1/2 inch shader again. But don't worry about keeping up. You're doing great, Andy.
Thanks.
I love it.
He's a natural.
He is. Okay, so 1/2 inch brush, and then I'm going to add the white to the head, the background. Now you can see here what I'm doing. If you like the width of the outline, oops, a little brown orange in there, then leave it. But if you want to cover it up a little bit, if I come in and I want that a little bit smaller, you can see how I just painted right over some of that black.
Okay, and that's just all straight white.
Yep, except mine actually only had some orange in it, but that's okay, because then the sky has that color too. And then just fill that in, fill the center in. It might pull in a little bit of the black if it didn't dry already, and that's okay. And be generous with white, because if it's a little thicker,
it's a snow friend.
Yeah, and also as we blend some other colors for our shadows and highlights, it might still be wet, which would be helpful as we're blending and mixing some colors. Okay, so we're filling this in. Remember to get that little section under between the scarf. And then since I have the, yep, 1/2 inch, yep, that one. and generous amount of the white. Just you can see mine's pretty, it's a little thicker, so it'll stay wet
No,
longer.
I don't need the plate to put the white
No,
on.
just go right to there, right there. And then also, since I have this on my brush, I'm going to clean up some of these areas, the snow. I want to just add a little bit of white. I feel like some of this blue I might want to cover up. It was a little too much there. And just lay in some on the snow, okay? And this doesn't have to be perfect. If it's more irregular, it'll be nicer. And then we're going to rinse our brush and grab our red and do, if you want to do the band on the hat a different color, go for it. It's your painting. And I would say wherever, anytime I'm teaching classes or the show, instead of worrying about the technical details, I strive more for getting everyone to do their own unique painting.
Okay.
And make it your own. And our goal is to not make it look like mine, right? Even mine doesn't look like the one that I created usually, because I do that on a computer just for, you know, time-saving purposes.
I use a 1/2-inch brush for the white down below.
Yes, yes. So paint the whole.
And even the Santa person.
Santa person, the snow pal. Snowman, mine's man. So, and then, so now we're taking the red, and this is a nice size. We can come right in, and you can see, you can hold the brush this way, and it'll just fill in that whole scarf.
And that's the same 1/2-inch brush?
Or you can hold it, you could turn it the other way. It doesn't really matter, whatever you feel comfortable. I'm purposely covering up some of that black. I can always add some back in if I want, but you could see here, I covered up some of that, and that's okay. If you want to leave it, leave it. But you can see this red is not as opaque as some paints. You could kind of see through it. So there's my scarf. And then what I'll do now while that's wet is I'm going to grab a tiny bit of yellow, and I'm going to blend some yellow on. I'm just using the corner of the brush because my light source is there, and this would be a higher point here. Wherever that scarf, the higher point, I add a little bit of white right now too. And maybe just pull a couple little strokes, like little folds in the scarf. And I just did that with the same brush. I didn't even rinse it. And let's see. So that red, so usually when I do a painting, I'll go around and see what else needs that same color that I'm using. Okay. You know, kind of being more efficient with time, I guess. And when I'm painting big giant murals, I have to be very efficient with my time. So try to do things in certain areas and with certain colors and brushes just to be more efficient. So now that I have that, I have red on my brush, I'm just pulling in a little bit of the black. And let's see, black, oh maybe a little bit of blue. I'm just mixing the primary colors, red, blue, yellow. I'm making a brown, and I'm going to do this handle. So what I'm doing here, I'm still using the same 1/2-inch brush, but I'm flipping it, getting that chiseled edge, and I'm laying it this way, and I'm pushing down just enough to make it the same width as the handle. And you could see, whoops, that got a little bit too big, but that's okay. A little bit of the black was on the brush, and that gave it a little bit of a shadow, and that's okay. It's a little bit fatter up there. I can fix that. That looks good. And let's see, maybe I'll pull in a little bit with, since I have this color, some little shadows on our shovel. And then I'll clean. That looks good. I like your style. It looks really good. I like how you're mixing the color, and I bet you would draw good too. You're like your sketching is, you have a nice hand. You know, it's like it's nice. So I would say maybe stick in a couple little highlights with the yellow and the white. You could see on this on this point, because that's where our light would hit that, and then this is a high point on the scarf.
And you don't have to wait till any of this dries to do it.
Nope, that would be wet on wet technique.
See, so, she's teaching advanced courses here.
You can wait for it to dry, but you don't have to.
I'm a very impatient person.
Oh, me too.
So
that's why the paint
things to dry.
Yeah, I'm not good at waiting for things, and I'm always early, like you.
Well, I'm a very patient guy, so I'll fit in perfectly.
There you go. You can balance us out, right?
I'm trying. That lavender helped, though.
Yeah, it does. All right. So now I have the little round brush. I'm going to come up and paint my little cardinal. And because this red is a little more transparent, you could see I'm just painting over the lines, and you can still see it enough. If I wanted to cover them up, I'd have to do more layers or maybe even block it out with like a white first and let that dry to get the red to cover. But I like that you could see through there. And since I have this little brush, I'm going to do some little fringe on the scarf. So I'm going to start at the edge. Okay,
so how
now
do you get the brown color for the
mix the primary colors. You know the primary colors? Red, blue, and yellow. So just mix like equal parts, just a little bit of paint. You just need a tiny bit. Yep, red, blue, and yellow. Just mix, maybe add a little bit of white.
Oh, I did one orange.
That's okay if it's in there. Mine had orange in it. Just mix a bunch of different colors and you're going to get some kind of brown. If you want it to be a warmer brown, add more red.
Very
if you want it to be a
technical here
cooler
right now.
brown, you add more blue. So they add some blue to that. I'd say come over here in a clean section and get it. So that's a little greener, and that's okay. It's still a brown, right? If you want it to be warmer, add yellow.
Yeah.
And then you can just lay it. You can just lay the brush down and pull. Oh, see, you got it. You're good. You're a natural. Oop, just splattered
Welcome
on it.
aboard, Andy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. So I'm working on my fringe now, and then you start here on the scarf, and I'm going to just wiggle. Just do a couple little wiggly. But the wind is blowing this way because the scarf is going that way. So the fringe, is going that way too, right? You don't have to do fringe, but you could do the fringe a different color.
Fringe.
It's your
Fringe is
painting.
good.
Yeah. Maybe I'll grab a little bit of yellow and stick some yellow in there too. Why not? That looks good. So you want the small brush, the small round brush that you use to sketch it, and then do the cardinal with the red, and then your fringe. Okay. And our shovel is orange. You can use the 1/2 inch. We have other smaller brushes too you can use, but this is fine just to use the same. This will work. And I have some shadows in there. So basically you want to block everything in, then you can go back with any highlights, light and shadow, you can look. And I feel like I didn't do it much on that one, but since there's orange on the shovel, whatever color palette you're using to create something, if you kind of move it around and place it in different areas, it keeps the painting somewhat cohesive, I guess. I just dripped that on my sky. So I feel like I need to put a touch of orange somewhere else. And we did use orange and white to make the sky, so that tone is there. But I think I'm going to do orange on my hat instead of red. And then I'm just going to do a couple little highlights of orange on some other things, just to repeat the color. That looks good. Little fringe, whoops. Get your little fringe
the
going.
fringe ones, I need the red back again.
Yep. And then just you can grab the same little brush. You can just rinse it and add some orange for a little carrot. How are you doing down there, Alan?
I'm good. I'm a little behind, so
That's
I'm
okay.
good.
And then I'll take my little round brush. And now the eyes and the little buttons, they're coal or stones, right, or something.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be perfectly shaped. We want those to be a little irregular too. And then when it gets to the mouth, I feel like I want to do that a little different than I did on the design too. When you're creating things, sometimes you have an idea in your head, and as you're executing it, that you can change it. You can go with the flow. You can change it up, and sometimes when you're just in the midst of creating something, that's when things come to you or different ideas. Don't be afraid to change it. And then it might end up coming out even nicer. Right?
Thanks for your guidance.
Probably a good life lesson too, right?
Yeah.
Go with
Change
the
is
flow.
good.
Change
That's
is
it.
good.
Change is good.
Especially go with the flow.
Yeah. And not everybody is, is good with change, and that's okay, but
I like the orange you did up there.
Yeah, just to mix it up
Like
again
the
and just to
accent on
put,
it.
yeah, it just repeats that orange color again. And now I'm just adding some highlights. So now I'm looking at my little guy. That looks great. I would say, yep, you can put your little lines in your shovel. You can do it with the brown. You can do it with the black. Just kind of highlight. So this would be a little curved one, right? So I'm going to show, so right here, you can probably see, you could see a little bit of that. Put some
There you
little
go.
lines in there.
Now I got a curved shovel.
Yep.
Nice.
Johno loves that curved shovel he got from you.
yeah, the curved
Oh my
shovel.
goodness. He used it a lot. Oh, there's always a siren. When you're in the city,
Yeah, what happens?
that sounded like a ambulance. Okay. Now I have the again, I'm just looking, I have the dark color on my brush. I'm going to throw in maybe a couple little shadows. Ooh, that's really dark. Ooh. All right, what do you need, Andy?
I need
You could do your little carrot.
I need my carrot.
Carrot, and we'll make sure there's a little bit of shadow under him, and then also back behind him and under the shovel, there's a little shadow because the sun's on the left side, right? And if you make it a little bit too dark, just add white again. Okay, I'm going to let that dry a little bit.
I don't have very good point on my carrot.
It's okay. So carrots, I was looking up the origins of
That's
why
a
they had
fat
carrots.
carrot.
Yeah, that's okay, but all different sizes. You can clean
It's
it
an
up.
organic carrot.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes they're really funny looking. Just leave it go. I like it. So when you come in, if you're going to outline
Good
it
comeback,
with the black,
Andy.
I like it. So what you can do is you can outline it and just kind of go over a little bit. I would say make it a little darker on the underside. Just use a little tiny point. I think you need more paint. You need like this little, I feel like that point on that brush looks funny. Here, use this one.
Oh, it's falling apart.
Yeah, that one doesn't, use that.
It doesn't
Use
have
mine.
any hair on it like I don't.
Hair's overrated. There you go. And then let's see. I think for the mouth, I have a cute little smile on mine. But I kind of feel like I might want to do little individual little things, you know?
Can we make him scary?
You can make yours scary. Yeah. Now I'm gonna do my original little. I don't want him to look creepy, scary. I'm just going to lay the little point on, and I'm just going to kind of like that. That way he's cute. And then I'm going to just look and see, where do I need my little hints of sunlight on there, right? So I'll take some yellow, maybe mix a little white with it, and I'm going to put some highlights here because the sun would be hitting him on that side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe up in here. Yeah, I would say maybe define the snow ones. I'm just waiting for this to dry, and then I'm going to
some
add.
more gray down in there.
That looks good. I would say a little bit of shadow here, and then we'll make sure we'll put the brighter white right in here.
Okay.
I just need that to dry a little bit. So let's see, I have my yellow, my little highlights there. Okay. Maybe a little highlight on my shovel. Maybe on here. And then I am going to put a little highlight on his eyes, just so he looks like his eyes are sparkling. Little, and then on the cardinal. I've got a little
Yeah,
bit.
I just got a black daub on his face.
It looks good. I would say actually it looks good the way it is, Andy.
All right.
It looks
Black
good.
daub is done.
Good. And then just look back and see. Okay, so now I am going to add some snowflakes. I'm grabbing this big brush and we're dipping it into the end of the brush. And I'm just doing this. That was my red that I accidentally dripped on. A new pencil eraser works really good for this too, but you're only going to get that size. This, if you had less paint, you'll get a smaller dot. I'd say that looks good. I would do some highlights. Yep, do some highlights on the yellow with the sun to indicate the sun. So we're just doing this, our little snowflakes, and then if you wanted to do some that look like the little starburst, taking our white, small brush, the little point, and just paint a vertical line, a horizontal line. I don't know if this is showing up. And then from the center, come in and push out a little, like a little burst, starburst. My paint is very thick. And then I think I'll do one here. And then you just kind of just look at it, see if you need something to come forward, you make it lighter. If you want it to recede, you make it darker. So let's see. So like this recedes a little. We want now this snow. I want that to come forward a little bit instead of it being on the same level as the shovel. So I'm going to add some white, just a clean white. So you'll see here just the contrast of adding this white right here. See how that pops that forward? So the light comes forward and dark recedes. So this snow, that just brought that snow in front of the shovel. So anything you want to pop forward will be lighter. Yep. I would say maybe just a little bit of definition, either add white to the front of the snow, that edge, or little shadow behind it. The little hump, of the snow. And then it's just a matter of I am going to add some little shadows. I'm grabbing orange, blue, white. I just want like a dirty white, kind of a light gray. And I'm going to add some shadows here under the hat, right? Because the sun's over there, so there'd be a little shadow here. Fix that. There'll be some shadows here. Andy, you are a pro. I love it.
Yeah.
I love snowflakes.
You do. We
'Tis
always,
the season.
whenever it snows, we're always like, "Ooh, Andy's a happy camper today." Get that salt going, right? I just like it anyway. It's just fun. We had fun growing up in the snow. We used to build igloos. We used to. One year, my dad.
I love igloos and
We have
going tobogganing.
Yeah, well, we had a big our hillside in the back of our property. It went up. There were a couple different levels that my dad created for the gardening and all.
Wow, that's great.
Well, what he did was, it was pretty big too, and pretty high. He took the hose, and he built the sides and this track. It was I think he even made a sign, Innsbruck, and we have it on video. And we would sit on. They were something from like a printing shop, like these big rubber mats.
Yeah.
And we'd put them up around our legs, and we'd start at the top, and the sides were banked up like maybe 6 feet high. He was out there with the snow and the hose for days, and we would end up at the top. We'd start at the top of our property, all the way up at the top, come all the way down, curve around, and past the house and out front. It was amazing, and that was like, I mean, we get snow now, but we used to have it all winter. It seemed like.
Yeah, we did.
It's a lot deeper,
and it would stay. So
I think we were just all shorter.
Well, that too, but I mean, I can remember our igloo would be up for months.
Yeah.
And
we built snow forts with walls and
I
everything
know.
like that.
Did you guys put Town Talk bread bags on your feet too?
Of course.
We did that.
We had to.
These young people, they don't know what we're talking about.
No.
We put the bread bag in our shoes so that our socks didn't get wet.
Yep.
Because we didn't have like all these
fancy
boots like
shoes.
they do now.
No.
And it was fun though. We were out there all day. It was great. Okay. My little guy's beak is like really big, and I'm not really crazy about it. So I'm going to try to touch that up, but I'm just kind of looking at everything and just seeing where maybe I need a little highlight or shadow. Make sure his little stick hand, oh, yeah, yours is good, is coming over top of the shovel handle. So apparently, archaeologists discovered years ago, supposedly, one of the earliest ever snow shovels that were found was about 6,000 years ago in a bog in Russia.
Wow.
And it was fashioned from part of an elk's antler.
Well, they use bones for everything.
Yeah. And then the handle was either bone or wood that it said. So that was like pretty interesting.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love history.
And the carrot, it comes from back in the day, I guess, when they used to make snowmen, sometimes to be like a little more, well, they had vegetables and things they used with the head, but some of them would be like a little more frightening, or they use snowmen a different way for different, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Just spit it out.
Some of them were inspired like a menacing kind of little thing, or like, I don't know, but they said the carrot represented more like a witchy kind of a vibe.
Oh, really?
Because the pointy nose, like a witch, and yeah, so I don't
That's
know.
interesting.
So the carrot thing was originally something that they always used. And the coal, I guess, because they had coal, right?
Hey,
Little
we're
coal.
coal country here.
What do you think? I think it looks good. So I think I'm done. I'll just check it real quick and make sure, but I think I'm good. That looks great. So how about we'll take a break and then we'll finish up and
Yeah, I
reveal our
got to catch
paintings?
up a little.
Okay. We're back. We finished our paintings, so let's reveal. Did a great job. He's never
Thank you.
painted.
Never.
He was fast. Look how fast. Very good.
And
Alan,
I was
yours
bored
is
waiting
great.
for Alan, so I did this
Yes.
too.
So he
The
did another
last
snowman.
is best.
Make sure,
Best
give that
for
to Mary
last.
I'm
first.
going to give that to Mary.
Yeah.
So here's my snowman.
Great job.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Andy, for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
Oh,
Lots of
good
fun.
job. It only
Thanks,
took-
Andy,
Lots of
for
fun.
me.
Lots
and
of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maria, for all the lessons
Aw.
and tips. I couldn't have done it without her.
So when I
Thanks.
retire, I have a new hobby.
Yes.
And thanks, Dave Cable, for filming this. And
Always.
a
Yeah.
special shout out to our best helper,
Absolutely.
Stage Boy.
Hey, boys.
Stage boy. Should we show next episode?
Yes.
Is our friend.
Tease him, Maria.
Our friend Kim. Some of you may know Kim. So she's a Pittsburgher. Oh, I should probably
And a
move that.
returning guest.
Yes. And I call this Love Where You Live. So we have a little bit
Good.
of Pittsburgh in there. If you're familiar with the skyline in Pittsburgh, or you come up here
I
on the
am.
slopes, you can see the city, you can see the backs of houses, and trees, and it's just a really interesting city here. Skyline, and so I got some little splashes on there.
That
So-
looks beautiful. I
Okay.
can't wait.
Yep. So thank you guys, and thank you,
Happy snow
Andy.
day, everybody.
You have a beautiful
Yay.
painting
Thank
for
you.
Mary's collection.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, guys.
Hey, and
Thank
thanks for
you.
your feedback, and thanks for watching, and
And we'll
see you next
around
time.
town soon.
Yes.